Okay, and so how would you address international tariffs then? International tariffs on America.
I'm not exactly seeing how the two are connected, but I want to answer the question.
Well, you're mentioning that a free market, and in the free market, tariffs would not exist, both coming into the country and going out of the country. And so you're, unless I'm misunderstanding, and that's why I'm trying to get clarification. So in espousing the free market system, I'm asking you, how would that affect, if you could get that passed, how would that affect international tariffs?
International terrorist?
Tariff.
Or is it tariffs?
Tariff. T-A-R-R-I-F. Oh, excuse me, the other way around. Excuse me. T-A-R-I-F-F. Tariff.
I believe in free trade, and I believe that certain restrictions are appropriate. But what I'm primarily talking about in freeing up, I'm talking about freeing up domestic economic policy.
Okay.
But in terms of international trade, I do believe, and if we can look at the TPP as an example here, is that by many accounts, that legislation is designed. Let me first say this about the TPP. I mean, this was really, in my view, not a transparent way of drafting legislation. That it was so closed door. There was no public review, and that I don't see that as appropriate.
Okay.
But additionally, by many accounts, the provisions within the TPP are again beneficial to major corporations, and I think we again see the symbiosis between big government and big industry and big corporations.
Okay, and what example of that would be? What provision in it does that you would oppose?
There are a number. I'm not prepared to speak on the intricacies of it at this juncture. But in generally speaking, the TPP, but again by many accounts, has provisions that promote that symbiosis.
Okay. Well, you also wanted to go on in the omnibus. You wanted to speak about immigration.
Okay, so within sort of this immigration heading, I think some of the rhetoric within the presidential campaign. I think we know what I'm talking about. The rhetoric of completely blocking United States borders really is contradictory to the spirit of America.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. To be clear, are you talking about Donald Trump's statements about temporarily stopping immigration by Muslims, or are you talking about his comments about
both that and the wall? So I think policies that are driven by nativism and xenophobia really ignore our nation's core principles. I think it needs to be remembered that nearly all of us in this country are descendants of immigrants.
Yes, sir, but
so in terms of from an economic perspective, rejecting people that are I mean, so my ancestors immigrated to this country in search of a better life. And to say that immigrants coming into this country now are not in search of a better life and that all of them have some sort of nefarious motive is inappropriate.
I don't believe anyone's actually stated that they have a nefarious purpose, but it must.
Well, I know that Trump had said that Mexican immigration is primary. I think, to paraphrase, they're coming across the border and raping and killing people.
That's a very, very extreme generalization. That isn't what he said. But more importantly, sir, let me ask you this then, because are you saying that we should not enforce the immigration laws that exist at this time?
No, I believe immigration regulation is important.
Okay.
So,
and they are breaking the law.
I would say that the primary role of the federal government is to ensure for the common defense. So anything that jeopardizes national security certainly needs to be addressed.
Okay, then in reference to that, you have both. It has been stated that there is a potential security interest of the nation for the many people, and not just Mexicans, but many people who come across our border, our southern border, and our northern border for that case, out of Canada as well. In fact, in 2000, I think it was 2009, or 2007, excuse me, there were several attempts to come across the Canadian border into the United States illegally. And that is one of the concerns that was addressed by many people across the nation, and it's a fear that many people have about many of the Muslim immigrants from Syria and current conflict zones, and ISIS has made credible threats to come into the nation, which led to Mr. Trump's statement. Whether anyone agrees with it or not, there is a reason for it. Are you saying that you oppose that? And in terms of illegal immigration, are you saying that you would not want to enforce the law as it stands right now?
I'm saying that restricting all Muslim immigration roundly is inappropriate.
Okay.
It demonstrates a lack of knowledge, and it really wouldn't achieve its stated goal. I mean, so the majority of Arabs currently residing in the United States are not Muslim but Christian. So what we're conflating here is, those coming from Arab countries, those that practice the Muslim religion, and really just sort of equating all of this to terrorism. Those that are fleeing the conflict in Syria, a great number of them are educated people.
No one's questioning that.
In terms of enforcing, security measures, etc., to ensure that individuals, wouldn't pose a threat to our national security, that's important. But to block someone from immigrating to this country purely for the reason of what religion they choose to practice, I don't agree with.
Okay, and when President Carter did that in the in the 70s, you would have opposed him doing that as well with Iran?
Yes.
Okay.
I additionally opposed the internment camps of the Japanese during World War II.
Okay. Not a problem. So very consistent on that. Okay. What about but you didn't answer in reference to immigration law as it stands, which the 12 million illegal aliens in the nation at this time, which is also a hot button issue in the presidential race, and many people are very concerned about this. I'm not sure if I understand. What's your position about that?
I would say that I don't want to equate all immigrants to Mexican immigrants, because they don't make up.
I never said Mexican. I just said 12. There's 12 million, roughly 12 million illegal aliens in America at this time. Many of them are from.
No, I know, but the point that I was making, the point I'm about to make, is that particularly Mexican immigrants, given the state of their economy, they're making a cost-benefit analysis to say, would it benefit me, even if I were to illegally cross the border into America? And what are their motives? Their motives are to find employment and bring money back home to their family. So I think it's also a misnomer that we have Mexican immigrants flooding across the border, because the Pew Research Center has stated, actually, I think it was a couple of years ago now, that immigration has, particularly Mexico, or I'm talking specifically actually about Mexican immigration, that it has reached net zero. That is to say that just as many immigrants are, I think just as many Mexicans are going back to Mexico as are coming into the United States.
I'm sorry,
so,
that data is out of date. You're talking about 2010, the Pew Research report, based on the economic conditions in the recession, where we had that zero balance. Since the time, as the economy has improved somewhat, that's gone back into a net positive inflow in the most recent updates.
Okay, so even so, being as that is, I think the claim that Mexican immigration is a threat to jobs. I mean, by and large, immigrants are filling jobs that just aren't being filled.
Okay.
So I guess my point to your original question,
Yes, sir.
is that from both a theoretical and a practical standpoint, finding an avenue toward, I suppose, legalization of those that are present in the United States illegally does make sense. Because again, what would the cost differential be between this effort of deporting these individuals versus a path towards legalization?
Okay, so you support a path to legalization.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's switch subjects for a moment, looking at some other issues that I know many people will have questions about and ask about. Let me first go to one of the statements you made today on WUTQ this morning, and you were speaking about that there are too many laws on the books, 4,500 laws, and just to update my listeners, you work as a professor of criminology, correct?
Yeah, I teach criminal justice courses, criminology, and sociology at SUNY Polytechnic.
Okay, just want to make sure. And I believe your statement was in reference to overcriminalization and a criminal justice reform that you're looking to do. Am I stating that correctly? Is that a good summation of what you had said, of one of the points you had said in that interview?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have, it's actually over, and the estimates on this aren't completely exact, and I think that's problematic in and of itself. But over 4,500 federal criminal statutes, and what I added, I believe, is that somewhere in the neighborhood of 300,000 federal regulations that can result, in a criminal charge. So to that end, with that amount of overcriminalization, it results in over convictions, I suppose you could say, that there's a pretty well-known book on the subject called 3 Felonies a Day, which essentially argues that for virtually everyone over the age of 18, at some point in your life, you likely committed a federal crime. So the only issue is whether or not you're actually pursued for that. So I think it undermines the idea of rule of law. I think it undermines the idea of social contract. That so many laws exist on the books. So estimates, of reforming, this vast system of legislation. So the estimates on reforming that, we're talking years. And this is one of the primary, reasons why I decided to run, was that there is consensus, as rare as that is in Congress, there is consensus to say that reform is needed, that, things have kind of gotten out of control. So I believe I have the expertise to contribute to that, to actually, to get something done in Congress.
And so, what would be an example of something you would reform?